Your Creative Push, episode 118.
What is important is finding the vision and the overall goal of where you want to be going and aiming there and working towards that.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngman Brown, and my guest today is Andrew Huang.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Hey. Andrew is a Toronto-based music and video producer with a penchant for working within absurd, self-imposed limitations. He has released over 2,000 songs in a massive range of genres, and he is best known for his Song Challenge video series, which invites viewers to dare him in feats of musicianship, and that has garnered him over 40 million views on his YouTube channel. He has penned a 5-language rap. He has composed a song with 300,000 notes in it in celebration of surpassing 300,000 subscribers. And he has covered numerous pop songs using only the sounds of items mentioned in the lyrics. And some of my favorite are Peaches, using peaches, 99 Red Balloons, using only red balloons, the Breaking Bad theme with meth lab equipment. And I think my favorite was Box Air on G-string.
Oh, yeah.
Using actual G-strings, which is so well done and hilarious because you're in a symphony hall and you're wearing a tux and it's just perfectly done. So I guess I have to ask, what got you started with this idea to create these kind of, out there music videos?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've always been pretty out there in my music tastes. Even from a young age, I really loved finding new genres and finding kind of the outsider artists who were doing something different and pushing the boundaries and stuff. And I was also really into hip hop. So I was always sampling stuff. I got early on into like getting vinyl from the thrift store and seeing what I could kind of like grab from that and reconstruct into my own pieces. And I feel like that is sort of where like this combination of loving like strange new genres and sounds and this kind of love for sampling kind of combined to me using strange items as instrumentation. And I think the first time I ever did it, I was still in my teens and I was like trying to record some stuff in my parents' basement where I did a lot of my early music making, and I was using a water bottle and kind of like shaking it and hitting it and getting sounds from that just to use as kind of this auxiliary percussion in a piece that was still very much normal. Otherwise, I was singing, I was playing a guitar along with it. I was always experimenting with that kind of added, interesting sounds in my songs. And eventually when I made a piece that used only these weird things, the first thing I did was, in that vein was with 1,000 Pairs of Pants, a sponsored video. My first sponsored video, I believe, from way back in the day where a jeans company was launching and they just, for some reason, liked what I was doing on my channel and didn't have any idea what I would come up with. But they were like, we'd love to promote our jeans. If you can come up with anything creative that you want to do with them to put on your channel that's jeans related, that'd be awesome. So I was like, let's get 1,000 pairs of pants. I'll make a bunch of sounds with them. And I managed to do that. And we got, I think, 500,000 views in a week. And that was when I was first like, okay, I'm on to something here. It took another like maybe year before I tried that again, just because it was such a labor intensive process. And I had to do a lot of like troubleshooting and there were a lot of technical issues to figure out. And at this point, I've done it so many times that it's really streamlined and I could use pretty much anything and create this like weird music video thing using only a very small range or a very strange item to produce cool music.
That's so cool. Have there been any like challenges given to you that you tried but weren't able to?
There's always suggestions coming in. I can usually tell what's going to be possible even before I attempt it. So that's, been good for me just to not waste a lot of time. I can't think of one where I saw something I wanted to try and wasn't able to do it. Yeah, usually if I get the suggestion and it's possible, I'm like, all right, I'm pretty sure I can do this, and I just go for it.
Yeah, I think I saw in one of the comments, the most recent comments was to do Moonlight Sonata using only Moonlight.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
I mean, there's
You seem like a child.
if I had a lot more time on my hands, I could totally set up some like light sensitive, like they make theremins, that detect light and that affects the pitch that we could arrange something, but it would be
Dude,
more trouble than it would be worth, I think.
that's so awesome that you're immediately able to think of an actual thing to do.
I mean, usually there's some technology involved that helps, work around. Like, I wouldn't be able to do some of the pieces that I do without all this video editing. That's for sure. But I am also starting to experiment with ways that I can do this weird found sound music live.
That's so cool. So you mentioned the pairs of jeans, but so you didn't really have an expectation to necessarily make money off of or get sponsored. That kind of just fell into place as a result of your creativity.
I guess in a sense it did. Yeah. I was fairly early to the YouTube game. I got my account in like 2006, I think, and have been posting quite regularly since 2009 or 2010. And there was always this, I don't know if I would call it quite foresight, but there's definitely an understanding that this was a growing medium and this was a place where advertisers were going to be coming more and more. And I remember before I did my first tour, I was like reaching out to car companies to see if I could like get any kind of small sponsorship to just, help with the costs of touring, see if someone would be willing to like lend me a car, like in exchange for, shouting them out in videos that I would make during the tour, anything like that. Really, really just no response basically from any of the places that I contacted. And then, fast forward a few years and I'm being approached like a few times a year about doing brand deals specifically with car companies. And so I think back in the day, I always thought it would be a possibility to be doing sponsorships specifically through YouTube. Thankfully, it was just a matter of time away. It's definitely not something that I would have seen myself doing way back in the day. I thought I was going to be a producer for hire and an engineer for hire forever. But as I've worked more with YouTube and grown an audience there, it seemed to be a more and more viable thing.
That's so cool. And you say, fast forward, but I mean, that's a whole decade we're talking about of your, your YouTube career. What would you say is like the biggest lesson that you've learned, I guess, just in general, like not just with creativity, but just as a person putting out content?
I mean, I'm a pretty prolific person. So for me, it's about that whole approach of throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I still feel like I'm very much in that kind of place where I do tons and tons of stuff. I make even more content than I post, but even of the content that I post, a lot of it is just like, I think this is cool, but it's not necessarily a guaranteed like smash success. It's not a format I've necessarily tried and tested before. And a lot of it is just about like doing a lot of things and trying a lot of things and finding the things that work. And sometimes you don't even know afterwards why they worked, but they did. So I think the biggest thing that I've learned is like work really hard and keep on putting out stuff and basically do as much as you can.
Absolutely. And you have so much content that you put out. Are you ever disappointed with the things that do stick to the wall? Like, I'm thinking in particular, like pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows, which, when you hear of that, you're just like, what is that? But when you watch it, you completely understand. I challenge anybody that hasn't watched that yet, check it out. And if you don't laugh, I'll give you like $10 or something like that. Just hit me up because it's impossible not to. Just like the smile on your face and then the way it's done.
I would never say that I would be disappointed at anything that I've done or at the success that anything has found. I definitely think it's strange, what finds its way to, larger audiences. And for someone like me putting out not only a lot of different stuff, but a lot of very different kinds of stuff, it's interesting to see like becoming known for certain things, like for instance, this weird song about unicorns, or for doing all this music with strange objects instead of instruments. Like these are the things I think that I've become most known for. And it's because, they've reached the most people, they've resonated with the most people, but it is still just a fraction of what I create and what I'm passionate about. So, there is a little bit of this sense that like, well, a lot of these people who like me maybe for these specific things aren't getting the whole picture. And, I would love to be known for more than just those things in some ways. But yeah, it is also kind of, I guess, part of a larger sort of discussion or approach that I might need to have in terms of like branding, I guess, which I've never been good at because it's always just like, I have this exciting thing. I'll do it. It doesn't matter that I'm following up like a country album with a rap album. Like this is just what I feel like doing. But yeah, I think for the types of creators like me who are interested in exploring like a whole bunch of different kinds of things, there's problems that come with it and there's benefits that come with it. The benefits being you can potentially reach a lot more people for something that you never might have tried otherwise, but you also have a more fragmented audience maybe than you might like.
It makes a lot of sense. And, like you said, you like to try doing a lot of different things. And perhaps the most, like the coolest thing that, in my opinion, because I'm a huge space nerd, is the album Comet. Can you talk a little bit about that and explain that to the audience?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm a huge space nerd as well. And I'm always like reading about like the latest news in space. And, it's just a very, very exciting thing to me. And Comet came about after the European Space Agency, as they were approaching the Rosetta comet and maybe like as they were about to land on it, they detected these oscillations, which, I don't really understand anything about it. There's like some kind of magnetic field, or I don't know. One of their probes measured some kind of strange like waveform, and it wasn't even an audio waveform, but somebody translated it into something that would be perceptible as audio to the human ear. I took that file, I think it was a 2 or 3 minute audio file, which just came from these like weird magnetic comet oscillations, and I chopped it up into a bunch of different pieces and did a little bit of like pitch shifting and arranging with them, and created this entire album using just that comet sample as the instrumentation, and I did a bit of singing and rapping over top of it. So that's, one of my favorites as well, just for the, not only for the music that came out of it, which I think stands on its own, regardless of the concept behind it, but just for being able to take a really small piece of audio and really build something much bigger out of something smaller. I'm a real big advocate for the less is more kind of approach.
Yeah, it's incredible what the breadth of music that you're able to make with it. And I think, how many is it, like 11 tracks?
I think it's 9.
9? Okay. Well, either way, it's a ton of different sounds, all stemming from that one sound clip, as you said. And you made that in 3 weeks, I read?
I did, yeah. When
oh my God.
I was like, we have this like crazy sound from outer space. I just got so excited about it. I put everything else on hold and made that album.
Now, do you find that you do your best work whenever you get, I guess, obsessed? Because I can definitely relate, like where you're just stuck on this one idea, and then it's like you have to get it out of you. Is that when you work your best?
In a sense, I would say I would agree with that. I think you can define best in a lot of different ways. And,
right.
When I look back on the stuff that I'm the most proud of, it was the pieces that came out of like being really excited about a particular concept or a particular bit of inspiration that I had. But I kind of wonder if maybe that excitement just lingers over into my memory of the piece itself. And I'm just like, well, that feeling of passion and excitement is so attached and inseparable from those things that they, become in my mind the best things that I've done. But definitely if you talk about like what's going to be the most successful on a platform or going to resonate the most with other people or, become a fan favorite or something like that, I don't think there's any way to necessarily tell. There's stuff that I've done that I was completely unsure about, or there's commissions I've done where the purpose was, I was really working for somebody else to create something. And sometimes those are the things that, become really either, favorites of fans or get the most views or whatever it might be. Yeah, I think if you're talking about like what personally remains kind of most exciting to me, it is the stuff that seems magical as you're making it.
And for that project and for projects like it where it's, pretty out there, like, nobody else has done that, like creating music out of comet noise. But do you ever find like a hesitancy or like a fear, or is there like moments where you're just like, wow, like, I don't know, maybe this is too crazy, or like, I don't know if this will resonate with people?
For me, I think it's the opposite. I think I have a fear of something being too normal. And
I love it.
I think that is, that's not even something I've necessarily really consciously thought of a lot before. You're just making me realize, but I definitely, I have a fear of becoming too repetitive in my work. I want to change things up a lot. I have a fear of sounding too much like something else that's already out there. So I do, really prioritize like pushing boundaries and trying to discover these new things in my music. I think that's more where I'm coming from.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'm the opposite, where I'm like, wow, this is like too unique, or like nobody's ever done this, or and that makes me want to like err more towards the side of normalcy. But I found that the best things that I've created are the ones that are the most out there. So I guess for every person, it's different, and it's just pushing through and figuring out what resonates the most within yourself.
Yeah, and I think every creator has kind of these default maybe positions, you might call them, on things. Like there's always going to be the people who like really want to tinker with the details forever and ever, or there's always going to be the people who they've found their genre and they don't want to leave it, or it could be any kind of things that we all have these tendencies towards in our creative lives. And I think what is important is finding the vision and the overall goal of like where you want to be going and aiming there and working towards that. Because being unique is not necessarily a goal that everyone needs to have. Like if you just want to be like the best bluegrass banjo player, then like that's your goal. That's like, the mark you want to hit and what you can work towards. And I think that's great too.
Absolutely. It's find your thing and just go for it. Just try to be the best. Whatever the best is, the best doesn't have to be what everybody else thinks is the best. It's just creating it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that can mean, it's going to be a different amount of work for different people. It's going to be overcoming different fears for different people.
So you seem somewhat superhuman as far as the things, like you have like opposite fears almost, or opposite things that hold you back. What are some of the things that hold you back? You are very prolific, and I know that you like to put a lot of content out, and it doesn't seem like you have any fear to go as unique as possible. But are there some things that hold you back on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think looking at it at this angle, there are a few sort of like opposite problems that I have. One that I can think of is a lot of musicians I talk to, or all kinds of creators I talk to, they get writer's block and they're like, oh, I haven't made anything in a few months, or like I'm working on something and I'm not really feeling it and I don't know what to do or where to go with it. And so I have the kind of like, there's pros and cons to it of being so constantly inspired and so prolific, but I've got thousands of projects sitting on my hard drives, and it's hard to like narrow down which one I should work on next. I do have the benefit of like, if I have a little bit of writer's block with one particular song or project, there's always something else that I can shift my attention to. And then, something that requires a completely different mindset, or a project that maybe if I'm not feeling like writing, maybe there's a project that needs to be mixed or that needs like a keyboard part added to it. So there's always another way that I can be productive and another task that I can turn my attention to, which I think just kind of snowballs into even more productivity and creation. I guess another kind of problem that I have is just like getting excited about so many ideas and starting a lot of them, but not finishing as many of them. And that's something that I, over the last few years, have been trying to work on more and more, is like deciding which projects I can pursue, deciding which projects I can kind of take off my plate and say that one's not worth going after, and really taking the steps to finish them rather than just play with them endlessly.
Yeah. Is it just like an overload of work that doesn't allow you to, I don't know, like to be a closer to finish the project? Or is it like you don't want it to be over, or what's the reason?
Yeah, I think it really does come down to two things. I think it's a time management thing where I just have to really make sure I'm keeping on top of myself about like dedicating chunks of time to really get into the work and finish something rather than like, oh, I'll just like flip around between this project and that and, make tiny bits of progress here, which in my experience is just never as effective as saying like this whole afternoon is just for this one song or even just this one part of this one song. Let's get it as far as we can go. I think there's sort of like a compounding effect that happens when you can work more in depth rather than in breadth, let's say. And the other thing is just simply like the amount of time that is available to humans. If you if you have 1,000 projects, you'll get a lot fewer of them done proportionally than if you just have 7.
Yeah, I struggle with the same project too. I have a folder of it's titled ideas, and it's just like half, it's basically I open up a Microsoft Word document and title it what I imagine it to be, and it will be like a sentence or two of a blog post or a sentence or two for a book idea, and I have in my head the whole idea, like the entire project is essentially done in my head, and it's just a matter of reopening that project and working on it. But like you said with the breadth thing, it's it doesn't seem as fun to just open up one and be like, I'm going to work on this one until it's complete. Because then you're just thinking about all your other babies, all your other things that you could be working on. And it feels more like work. But like you said, the work gets done so much quicker and more efficiently if you're able to kind of have tunnel vision and open up that one thing and just work on it until completion, or just spend a whole day doing that.
Yeah, and I also do find like once you get going, it's way easier than you think it will be. And, they say so often the hardest part is starting. And I've found that to be true a lot of the time where you might not feel like, oh, this next 6 hours is like, what I really want to dedicate all this time to just this one thing. But once you kind of get over that hurdle and, you spent 20 minutes with it, you suddenly like remember why this was an exciting idea to begin with. And you find all these little, the work kind of leads you. Like you don't, going into the 6 hours, you don't need to know every single thing you're going to be doing every minute, but you get into this kind of process of working and discovery, and that if you're lucky and it is something that you still want to be working on, I find that you get into that like flow state, and the work actually becomes easier because of that.
For sure. We love the flow state here on Your Creative Push. It's one of our favorite things to talk about. But yeah, that is true. It's you got to put your ass in the chair first, I guess, and then and then you can find your way into that flow state. What would you say that your creativity, your YouTube channel, your videos, your music, what does that bring to your life?
Oh man, I mean, it is my life. Well, it's sort of like therapy in a lot of ways. Is something that I'll say. Like, I definitely feel that being able to be creative and to kind of have agency over the way that I'm spending my time is like actually a health benefit in so many ways. Just being able to have the time and space to explore what you are passionate about, and also the satisfaction of bringing an idea to life, like something that started, as a little seed of an idea that you had, and then is now a finished product that you can share with the world. That is immensely gratifying. And yeah, it's just so cool to be able to think like I created this thing, other people are enjoying it. This would not have existed without me. And I'm really proud of it. I think there's something about that just kind of, revitalizes you, mentally and emotionally. So I think that would be one of the biggest things outside of just the work itself and what I'm producing that kind of has changed my life. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Brother, you couldn't have said it better. I think that's exactly how I feel too. I think the role of humans is to be able to use our noggins, to use this incredible intelligence that we have and the leisure time that we do have to be able to sit and think and ponder and express ourselves and communicate and try to push ourselves further and put a piece of what's inside of us out into the world and into something tangible. So I love that answer.
Yeah, cool. Totally. I think that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, man. But it's time for the final push. And this is where I ask you to reach to the microphone and grab the shoulder of one of the listeners that you've already really inspired today and just give them your best words of advice and really push them to pursue their creative passions.
Cool. Well, I mean, what I'll say, I think, we've already been talking about it, but working hard for what you believe in and what you're passionate about is the most satisfying. And I think the most important thing that you can be doing. You got to break it down into the smallest steps possible so that you can take those steps. And I think, that will just lead you to your most fulfilling life.
Love it, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and for giving us all that push.
Yeah, young man, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. And you can find Andrew at his website, which is andrewhuang.com, AndrewHuang.com. On YouTube, he is Andrew Huang. And on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, SoundCloud, and basically everywhere else, he is Andrew is Music. And we'll have everything we talked about today, all the links to find him and his videos and his music at yourcreativepush.com/Andrew Huang. Andrew, thanks again.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
So much fun, and I just have to say thank you to one of my first listeners, Nikki, for reaching out to me and for suggesting Andrew. So it was a really special episode for me to get him on the show, and I really, really enjoyed it. And a lot of takeaways from this episode, but one of the most important ones is, just getting started. Like Andrew said, the first step is always the hardest. And once you can sit down and just get to work, you get into that flow state that we love to talk about. And when you're in the middle of the project, whatever the project is, however big it might seem, when you're smack dab in the middle of it, it's hopefully enjoyable for you. And you're just there doing work. It's not this big task that you were dreading before because you're in the middle of it, and hopefully it is enjoyable. And also, like Andrew said, just create. Just keep creating and see what sticks. And sometimes the thing that sticks isn't the thing that you thought would stick. Or maybe, the thing that really resonates with people isn't the thing that you feel showcases exactly what you're all about. And for Andrew, he is very prolific, as we were talking about. And he has so many different types of stuff that's out there. We talked about just a small fraction of it. So I'd highly suggest you head to yourcreativepush.com/Andrew Huang or yourcreativepush.com/118 so that you can find all the links to all of Andrew's different stuff and really explore what he has to offer. And he was kind enough to let us play one of his songs, The Coldest Darkness, which we are going to leave you with today. Hopefully you were inspired today to go and get your work done, so go and get it done. Keep it going throughout the weekend. Be brave and do all those out there ideas that you might have, or do the normal ideas if that's what you got going for you. But the important thing is to just do them. We will be here for you on Monday if you need the push again. I love you all, and we will see you later.
Is your heart in battle, living in misty shadows? Does she miss me at all? I see your spirit broken. I know you need atonement, but give it one more moment. Wait, you are not alone. If I could give you back the light, if I could hold you till it's right. Wait, you are not alone. If I could keep you from the edge, if I could hold you back again. But the dusk has spoken, all your demons close in, when your tears are oceans. It's the coldest darkness, knotted in nighttime gardens. How could you be so heartless, heartless, heartless? Wait, you are not alone. If I could give you back the light, if I could hold you till it's right. Wait, you are not alone. If I could keep you give me grounds to doubt you. Scarlet starscape, how could I live